After a pause in operations here due to the weather, we've been having the warm, wet weather of January we had. Things are kind of back in full swing here at the Hartford Town Forest. The snow we've gotten has really helped with the trails. It's helped to pack in the trails and harden things up a little bit. The 10-day forecast looks pretty good. So I'm hopeful that the crew can kind of work here through and finish this job off. They're currently in the last third of the sail, the easternmost part of the sail. They've crossed the drainage, and now the harvester's behind me working to cut this final third. The rest of the sail's pretty much been cut. There's a handful of trees that need to be hand felled. Everything everything north of the brook and west of this drainage has been cut. It's been hand felled, and it just leaves the southernmost section to be hand felled, and this easternmost third to be cut by the forwarder and then hand felled. So I'm hopeful things will remain to stay cold, and the crew can continue working. It's been about 3 weeks since they've been in full operations here. The forwarder's been only able to work 3.5 days in those 3 weeks. We've hit some muddy spots on the trail in this northern section, some areas where I was pretty surprised we're actually going to give us some trouble. So I'm hopeful, like I said, with this snow and the cold forecast, that the crew can continue to work, and they won't run into any more warm weather and mud, which is great. I think they're doing a fantastic job. The spots that are where there is some mud and some ruts will be fixed and smooth, and drainages will be installed in the spring, hopefully by June. So this is the location of the wetland drainage. The wetlands here, this uncut area. I think it's about 2 acres of a forested wetland that drains right here, and it's kind of a pinch point for it to get to the eastern part of the treatment area. So the crew from Longview put in some bridge panels and some poles underneath it to keep the forwarder from rutting and chewing into this drainage here. When they leave, they'll take the panels out, they'll remove the pulpwood as long as they can get to it. It hasn't frozen in, and if it is frozen, they'll take it out when they do the cleanup in the spring. But with this type of crossing, they've limited the impact to this drainage a great deal. If they were just to come through here without these panels, there would be 2 huge ruts, and the flow of this drainage would be interrupted. So this is a great way to cross these wet spots, or with these, we call them skidder bridges or panels. They're just 8x8 hemlocks that are rebarred together. These are like 12 by 4 feet, and there's 3 of them here. So great way to deal with these wet spots. We use them on stream crossings as well. So here's one section that's given us some trouble. This is the main trail that heads in the northern part that kind of heads south towards that stream. It's wetter than we anticipated, just given the warm weather we've had. There's so much water in the soil. These ruts here, they're not running water down them by any means, so they're okay. It's not great, it's not what we want, but it's something we kind of have to deal with winters that we're getting nowadays. So this will be smoothed out in the spring. All these ruts will be smoothed out, and we'll get drainages installed. It's unfortunate, but just given the weather we've been having, it's kind of something we have to deal with nowadays on logging jobs in the winter. They're holding off. They're trying to freeze this in, so they've run it through a couple times here with the snow, and it's still kind of soft, so they're staying off it. So unfortunate, but it's something we can fix, and we'll fix it in the spring and make sure this trail's nice and smooth, and the impact to this area will be reduced.